Sound check. Can everybody still hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Spiff, if you need a sound check, just let us know.
Hi, Meryl. You're looking very elegant.
Okay, it's now 1 o'clock, and I just want to say good afternoon and welcome everyone to the Second Life Expert Series. So today, our expert is Brant Knutzen, also known as MrK in Second Life. He's going to be speaking to us about integrating the virtual world into education, which will cover how educators build and integrate virtual world learning experiences into their curriculum. So Brant has been building and integrating virtual world learning experiences into educational curriculum since 2008, quite a while ago, and did his doctoral research on the roles of virtual identity and social constructivism, also known as collaboration, for designing effective learning experiences using a virtual world. I wanted to point out that this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel. Putting that in the chat, the link to that in the chat, and also the chat will be saved, and you can find scheduled events on a calendar here in the world, as well as at the URL that I'm putting into the chat. So thanks again, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Brant.
Okay, thank you, Marie, and appreciate the introduction. I did include some background in the opening slides of the presentation, and also it'll go into about 10 minutes of background and introduction of the topic, and then it'll show a lot of different examples. I figure most of you are here because you'd be interested in see what kind of bills in different categories and how they could be put into your curriculum. So that's about it. Shall we bring up the prim and roll the video since I recorded the presentation? Oh, and this also frees me up. So while you're watching the YouTube recording of my presentation, feel free to type your questions into chat. And because I won't be doing much during the presentation, I'm free to respond to your questions or any insight or anybody have contributions to add to it as kind of a social constructivism arena.
Okay, so we each have to click on the
Media on a Prim,
and so we're all going to watch it. Okay, got it. So just click on it; it should show up in on the screen.
Oh, and we can also, yeah, you put it in the chat so they can run it independently.
No, that's a different one. That's the one that'll be available later.
All right, I think I've got it. This one. If it doesn't work on the Media on a Prim, you can always run it directly from YouTube from that link in the chat. Okay, so let's all let it roll. Hello, my name is Brant Knutzen, and my presentation is titled Integrating Hello, my name is Brant Knutzen, and my presentation is titled Integrating the Virtual World into Education. In 2008, I started developing virtual worlds for an international school in Hong Kong. I taught design and programming skills to the students. In 2010, I was working for a liberal arts university and developing projects to train drama students and also provide ESL students language learning experiences. At the time, I developed the Quest for training basic skills, like a treasure hunt. Later, I would use the Quest to gather data for my dissertation. In 2012, I started training medical students in biochemistry experiments and lab safety. 2014, I began training education students how to use the virtual world to develop role plays and using scenario-based learning. In 2015, I began exploring the gamification of education. I created the pirate ship battle game in order to train students in using camera controls, and I set it in a virtual version of Venice, Italy. In 2016, I led a team of 4 to build tableau scenes based on the class. Hello, my name is Brant Knutzen, and my presentation is titled Integrating the Virtual World into Education. In 2008, I started developing virtual worlds for an international school in Hong Kong. I taught design and programming skills to the students. In 2010, I was working for a liberal arts university and developing projects to train drama students and also provide ESL students language learning experiences. At the time, I developed the Quest for training basic skills, like a treasure hunt. Later, I would use the quest to gather data for my dissertation. In 2012, I started training medical students in biochemistry experiments and lab safety. 2014, I began training education students how to use the virtual world to develop role plays. My name is Brant. Scenario-based learning. My presentation is titled "Integrating the Virtual World." In 2015, I began exploring the gamification of education. In 2008, I created the pirate ship battle game for an international in order to train students in using camera controls and programming skills to the students. I set it in a virtual version of Venice, Italy. I was working for a liberal arts university. In 2016, I led a team of 4 to build tableau scenes and also based provide on the ESL students language learning experiences by Dickens. I called it Get At the time, I developed the quest lived in for his training dream. Basic skills. Like a treasure hunt. In 2018, I did my doctoral dissertation to gather data. The focus was on the impact of virtual identities and social constructivism. I started training medical worlds on instructional in biochemistry experiments and lab safety. I used the data from the quest. 2014, I began training education students the quest, how to use the virtual treasure hunt, develop role plays, and I collected data from scenario-based learning. 410. In 2015, I began exploring the gamification of education. Inquiry-based chemistry. I created the pirate ship battle game pharmacy in order to train students in using camera controls. Learning outcomes, and I set it in a virtual version. All good learning activity design starts with clear, intended learning. In 2016, I led a team of 4 to build tableau scenes based on the classic literature, The Christmas Carol by Dickens. I called it Get Scrooged. He basically lived in his dream. 2018, I did my doctoral dissertation, and the focus was on the impact of virtual identities and social constructivism in the virtual world on instructional design. I used the data from the quest. I had over 2,000 people take the quest, follow the treasure hunt, and I collected data from 410. In 2020, I designed and developed inquiry-based chemistry experiments for training pharmacy students. Learning outcomes. All good learning activity design starts with clear, intended learning outcomes. In Bloom's revised taxonomy, we have 3 domains of behaviors: psychomotor, cognitive, and affective. Psychomotor learning outcomes can also define instructions for your learning activity. For example, if we want to train people how to use camera controls to play a game, we want them to be able to hold down the Alt key and click on something to set your anchor point, and then move the mouse forward to zoom, left and right to pan. The second learning outcome would be to hold down the Alt and then also the Control key to control the vertical plane of movement. So the learning outcomes become the instructions. We're looking for skill development along a scale starting with imitation, of perhaps imitating a demonstration by the teacher, manipulating the controls, developing precision, articulation, and finally naturalization, when you can zoom and pan without even really thinking about it in a very smooth, natural way. Cognitive outcomes. Developing and coordinating a team effort as a strategy. For example, one of the outcomes might be to analyze the problem. If your team has from the time the first target ship is destroyed to win the game, then the idea here is to develop their task comprehension. How can you achieve this goal? We want the students to hypothesize. You can use a discussion forum to form team roles and as a group, develop a team strategy. We want the students to synthesize a range of ideas and develop their suggestions into a plan. You can also ask them to look at historical posts on the forum from previous students. What has worked for other teams in the past? We're asking the students to relate the prior ideas to their current situation and evaluate them for usefulness. You can also use the instant chat or voice within the virtual world to coordinate and implement your team tactics. So we want the students to learn to communicate and apply their skills in a time-critical environment. Did they win? Why not? We want them to reflect on the outcome. Ask the students, how can you create a better strategy? We want them to theorize and hypothesize. Or how could they improve the tactics they implemented? We want them to formulate and generate new ideas. Effective outcomes is one that's often really not explored by many teachers, but it's very applicable to attitudinal changes. We want students to be able to express their opinions and ideas. We want them to challenge people if a previous strategy didn't work. We want them to learn how to persuade others, how to try their ideas. We want them to develop leadership skills and be able to delegate tasks and work as part of a team. This involves the internalizing of values and developing confidence to lead. Assessment of learning. How can you assess what students have learned in the virtual world? So in these three domains, psychomotor, can the students perform the skills required? As they earn points, that's evidence of their learning the psychomotor skills. In the cognitive domain, you can use a discussion forum as evidence of analysis and strategy planning. You can collect video evidence of communication, tactics, and skills. That could be video shot by the teacher, or the student teams themselves can create their own videos as evidence of their learning. You can also have the students submit an assignment to show their reflection, formulation, and hypothesizing. And in the affective domain, again, collect video evidence of confident leadership and contributions to teamwork, and you can give them surveys to look for changes in their self-concept, pre and post surveys. So how can I integrate these learning activities in the virtual world into my classroom? One method is links. A URL link can be provided in an LMS such as Moodle, Canvas, or Blackboard, so the students will all enter the virtual world at a predetermined location. In Second Life, this is called a slurl. Context. The LMS can provide key information which describes the activity, gives instructions, your team and tactics, explains the learning outcomes. Also, assessment. The LMS provides post-event formative and summative assessment, such as discussion forums and quizzes. And finally, surveys. The LMS can host post-event surveys to look for evidence of attitudinal changes. We're looking for increased confidence in leading and changes in self-concept. So what kind of learning activities can I conduct in the virtual world? One big area is scenarios. Students watch simulations which were developed in the virtual world to highlight certain behaviors or concepts for discussion and analysis. Students can control avatars in a role play and play out as characters in specific situations, and therefore practice the interactions to gain insight into those roles and to develop more additional skill on playing those roles. You can develop learning activities to train students in art, design, and programming. I have trained students how to design and create clothing, vehicles, and buildings, perhaps even a business plan, and then develop code to bring those objects to life. Another big area is science, developing experiments and lab safety training. These activities can be inquiry-driven and discovery learning in safe environments and at a lower cost. Let's take a look at some examples of learning activities that I have constructed in the virtual world. Okay, welcome to Math Club.
Hi Jake, do you know how to do powers and stuff like that?
Yes, I do. I've been practicing at home with my dad, and I think I can do this kind of work.
Okay, let's get started. If 3 times 3 is 9, what is 3 to the power of 3?
Teacher,
I know.
I know.
Okay, Jake?
I believe the answer to this problem is 9.
Does everyone agree? Amy?
I don't know.
Okay, class dismissed. Amy, can you stay after for a moment?
Bye, Amy.
Oh no, what should I do? I know the answer, but I didn't say it.
How can I explain this to Amy?
哇！你好似 BB 咁樣，跟住你好核突，成日都唔做功課。我成日都唔中意你，老師唔中意你，哎呀，你冇人中意你，好似 BB。我們好快樂，我們好快樂。你好臭。我們玩足球。我們好快樂，我們好快樂。你好臭。我們好快樂，我們好快樂。我們足。你知唔知我朋友話俾我聽，嗰個男仔係便便喺佢嘅條褲度啊？
Oh, excuse me.
My name is Diabetes. I am 26 years old. By mistake I took my evening dose of insulin twice. I didn't wake up in the morning and was rushed to the emergency room of the hospital in a coma.
Welcome to the virtual lab. As a safety precaution, please wear the gloves and the lab coat.
This build is based on Dickens' classic Victorian tale, A Christmas Carol.
Christmas humbug? Uncle, you don't mean that. What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas.
Students can use a magic door which transports them to the next scene.
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Students interact with the scene by clicking on the characters to hear the key lines.
You will be halted by 3 spins.
3 magic doors offer students the choice of going to the Christmas past, Christmas present, or the Christmas future. This bill was designed to let students actively explore through the key scenes of this classic story. The key scenes were created within a larger setting, in this case a snowy town. Students can walk around, view the different parts of the area, and find the key scenes here marked with red signs. The ghost of Christmas past has brought Scrooge to relive his memories of Fezziwig's ball.
Do you know this place?
It is time for Sir Roger de Coverley! Your pass.
There is nothing on this earth more terrifying to me than a life doomed to poverty.
Another idol has replaced me.
Students can explore a bit to find the next door, which returns them to the central hub and further explore this story. Christmas Present starts with a scene of the Cratchit house and the Christmas feast. The giant ghost of Christmas Present confronts Scrooge with Tiny Tim and the family. These scenes are presented in a large snowy town, complete with ice skating, and on to the next scene. Here is the marketplace. Another snowy vista. The marketplace is a happy social scene where the townspeople gather to prepare their own Christmas dinners. This is a social life which Scrooge has never been part of. On to the Christmas future. Here the Cratchit family mourns Tiny Tim.
I'm sure none of us will ever forget that poor Tiny Tim.
Mother, please don't be grieved.
Are these the shadows of things that will be, or shadows of things that may be?
A visit to Scrooge's tomb is the climactic scene.
Spirit, this is a fearful place.
Tell me, I may sponge away the writing on that stone!
Instead of using a HUD or heads-up display, these chemistry experiments have been organized into a single presentation board. They can present multiple types of experiments, such as capillary rise. Notice that I'm logged in as user 1. User 2 can also log in, and two avatars can work together on this experiment. Each liquid rises to a different degree or height in an identical tube . This experiment is designed to prompt the students to use the information they have to try to calculate a relationship with surface tension. All of the information is plus or minus 5%, so there is no exact answer that is correct. Now, using the same liquid but different tubes of different diameters, the students can try to determine how the diameter is related to the rise level. .2 and finally 0.1 millimeters. Each time this experiment is run, these numbers will be slightly different. Another experiment is called drop weight. This type of experiment is inquiry-based learning, but it's also somewhat discovery learning in the sense that the students don't need a lot of external directions. Generally, given a little bit of prompting, they can find their way. The bulb is squeezed and the drops are dropped into the beaker, 20 drops into the beaker. This is a fairly complex arrangement as opposed to squeezing the bulb by hand. Again, all of the measurements are plus or minus 5%. Now the students will try to identify an unknown liquid type.